Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Segment Podcast. I've got a special guest tonight. You may know him as the OutSider MTB, also known as Tony Dasilva, the one and only Tony. Bringing him up right now. Yo! What's up, Tone?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Doing good. Sorry for the snafu yesterday on the Wednesday night chats. I was able to push it over and get approval for Thursday night this evening. So thank you for being flexible.
No worries. It's not like I have a huge calendar this week. I'm just in Santa Cruz riding my bike. So accommodations all plenty. Yeah.
I love it. So, man, a lot of people probably already know who Tony Dasilva is, the OutSider MTB. And on the podcast, I like to try to dive in a little bit more on who the person behind the bike is so we get to know you a little bit. Okay. If you wouldn't mind, let's go back a little ways and try to find out what was Tony Dasilva doing the moment he decided to jump on the mountain bike. Where was that transition?
Mine was a slow transition. I was introduced to my first mountain bike a long time ago. Let's just say like 10 years ago. And I was in Connecticut working at an action sports store where they did snowboards, skateboarding, and they became like a giant headquarters or a giant store. Giant came in and did their thing. Anyway, I wasn't even thinking about it. My buddy, we had a rental fleet. I worked there. He's like, just take out this bike with me and let's just get out there. And, you know, at that time, I just thought mountain biking was just, you just go and you pedal around in the woods, you know, and just bike path, you know, probably what a lot of people still think it is. You know, a lot of people that don't know or have any, you know, haven't jumped into culture, you all have your first impressions. But I got out there, I was in the woods and I was like, going down these, you know, fast trails over rock gardens, and there was like jumps on the side, and it totally blew my mind. It was just like a very different experience that I thought that I was getting into. Huh. So yeah, I just kind of would go in with him every once in a while. I'd get a rental bike and we'd go out and have fun. And then the bug kind of slowly got planted. Like I was into it for a few months, and then you know, I was skating a lot back then too, so it was like back and forth. And then, long story short, when I really started getting into mountain biking was kind of when I moved back into California and rediscovered it. And it felt like skating in a way, you know, like the adrenaline rush of going on a downhill and you're penning it and your skill progression and all that stuff. It reminded me and felt like skating. And for me, as I got older, I was skating less because, you know, as a 40-year-old, I'm not going to be jumping down 12 stairs anymore. So mountain biking kind of like filled in that gap that I needed to get away and just feel I was doing something active and productive, you know?
Yeah, I know you're not a lot of people, they may not know that you were once an action sports star. And for the folks out there who don't know, Tony Dasilva, Mr. Tony Dasilva, was a professional skateboarder and actually toured the nation on a lot of different skateboard campaigns. What were some of the companies that you skateboarded for?
It was the main ones that stuck around for a while towards the, you know, my career was Vans, Foundation Skateboards, Independent Trucks. I rode for a clothing company called Split, Spitfire Wheels, and there's probably forgetting a couple, but the main sponsor was Foundation. That's where I would be filming for their video parts, and that's the tours that I would go on were through Foundation and Zero and Toy Machine. Those are the three brands underneath the big company. It's called Bonetto.
Wow, that I still remember those brands: Toy Machine, Foundation. I had Foundation board, Toy Machine board. Yeah, and I remember seeing you on video back in the day doing those like giant Ollie Melancholy late shove-its, all those things.
Oh yeah,
it was good stuff. And sure, a lot of the guys here on the audience right now will remember those things. We got Vegas Mike on the line. Says, "Yo, what's up?"
What's up, Mike?
Hey, look at the segments on. What's up, Vegas Mike? Pacific Yeti Joey Yates is here.
Yeah, Joey.
Which is great. We got a couple other folks who haven't chimed in, but they're watching today too. I think we can all relate to that, Tony, that as we had things in the past that we did, there's something about the mountain bike that kind of fills in the gaps, fills in the stoke, fills in that seekness for adventure as we go along. Do you remember the bikes that you were jumping on when your buddy was like, "Hey, grab a bike and let's just jam out here"?
Yeah, we had it was a Giant store, so the Giant Rain. I had that. That was like my first kind of bike. It got to the point where I was riding enough where he just let me take it home, which is probably I should probably thank that guy, Rich. He's a good old friend of mine from there, who basically just said like, "Hey, just take this thing home, and I'm gonna." It wasn't like it was mine, but I'm gonna just pretend this isn't part of the rental fleet, and you could use it whenever you want. So that enabled me to go and get on like actual rides solo without him, and that's when I kind of started feeling like. That's when I started feeling like mountain biking was bringing me to a place that I didn't expect. Like I'm out there in the middle of a forest sometimes with a beautiful view, and that's what really started instilling the bug in me. It was like a combination between going fast on downhills, doing drops and all that stuff, but then also on a solo ride, like just clearing my head and being in the middle of the forest where if you just shut up for a second, you hear an owl, you hear the birds, you hear like all those things that life goes so fast, and it was a time for me to like feel like it slowed down and just take a few minutes. So I'm really bad at meditation, and that was like the closest I feel like in mountain biking where I got to that point, where I like slowed my brain out enough to feel like I was in that moment.
I bet that was a warm welcome, because when we talk about, the skateboarding, we talk about going on tours and being a professional like you were, I'm sure you can't just go to a skate park and just skate and be left alone. I'm sure people were coming up to you. And I mean, was that like a weird, different thing in culture, going from like a crazy busy to that sereneness, those appreciation stations?
Yeah. And it was kind of completely that, like going to a skate park, you have to not only be ready to skate, but skate in front of people, be social. And, I always kind of struggle with anxiety in my life. So sometimes I just don't want to be around people. No offense to people, I like them, but sometimes I'm just in my own head and I just want to get out and do my own thing. And when you go to the skate park, love it or hate it, like there's always going to be people there. So sometimes I would go like odd times when there wasn't anybody, but you do. And then I'll say this too. There were times that I would go with friends and want to be around people too. Like you want to be around your friends because you bounce off each other and the session progresses when you guys are kind of like pushing each other. But it just depends on the day. It depends on the mood. So yeah, I feel like that now in mountain biking too. There's, a lot of the times I ride solo, but when we're at a sky park or we're riding in a group or we're riding together or something like that, there's a different type of day we're having, right? Where it's like you're hanging out, and it's like, it's interesting how rides can feel, the same rides and the same trails can feel so different from day to day.
Oh yeah, so true. It really depends on who's in the crew and kind of what's on their mind. And sometimes, like you were saying, you're in the crew and someone just levels up all of a sudden. It just levels everybody else up.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you hear that, well, I guess we're not warming up today. Somebody just decides to send it early. Oh man.
And that usually is me crashing.
I definitely want to talk about some of those. We've had some crashes here, and if we were keeping score, it sounds like San Luis Obispo 3 and 2. San Luis Obispo 2.
2-0 this year.
Tony Dasilva 0 for the competition of 2021. But we'll definitely want to get into that. So you're getting into the bike. You're kind of in the twilight part of your skateboard career. You're noticing that the mountain bike can be serene. It can be somewhat meditative. Was it difficult to jump on the mountain bike because you didn't have other people to jam out there with? Or was it one of those things that it's like, I really just need to do this for myself?
It's tough because I don't think it was like something that I consciously thought of. I always liked it. I just didn't take it seriously because I think the trails in Connecticut that I was riding are nowhere near the trails that are available here. So sometimes I wouldn't be able to just get up and go climb and have a fun descent. It was more of a cross country, especially the trails that were there 10 years ago, where you're crawling through some trails and you're pedaling over rocks. And it's more of like it was more of a cross country vibe. And you'd have to find features to send it. But when I got out here, literally is when my brain changed. And I was like, you go up 30 minutes and then you are friggin' flying down this trail as fast as you want to go. And it was awesome because as fast as you want to go will change when your skill progression grows, right? So that trail is going to feel different in 6 months because you're going to feel different on your bike. So the things that you're looking at and the lines you were looking at on that same trail become different. It's almost like the trail changes shape as your progression changes, right? So that's where I got the bug, where I was like, oh man, these trails that are around me in California are amazing, first off. And then as I got better, they just always felt fun and not repetitive because I could hit them differently.
Yeah.
But when I got out here is when I had the bike, and I bought a bike. I bought a Yeti 26er a while ago, and then I got an Intense Spider, and then that's when I got the YT Jeffsy after that and started the channel. And then was the Remedy, and now we're on the Jeffsy again.
Nice. Yeah, we definitely want to get back up to that YT part that you just talked about. But that's a cool progression of bikes. I mean, geez, jumping on the Yeti right off the bat, coming out here. I wanted to talk about, you had mentioned something about visualizing and looking at the trails and how a trail can be completely different 6 months later. And I'm curious because as also a previous skateboarder, you and I, or as skateboarders and probably other sports, but we see landscapes completely different. You're walking down the street and you see like a nice set of stairs with a handrail, and then maybe the handrail is a little bit lower, and maybe it's just like at a certain angle, and you see it as something fun and rideable. You see all these different things. On the trail, was it natural for you to also spot that when you were getting into mountain biking and just starting to see things, or was it completely different?
I'll say this. It's first off, that way you just said is how as a skateboarder we're going to be for the rest of our lives. We're going to be, hopefully, if we make it to 80 or 90, looking at ledges and plazas and thinking about doing tricks down them. So yeah, when I got onto the trail, at first it was like, I just need to ride down this thing, and can I ride down it? But once I upped a couple levels and I was not only riding down it, but like finding things to play on, that's when the skate brain turned into like the trail zone, where I started to find and look for those little hot spots, those little upturns on the corners, or like a little a G out or something where you can get air off coming out of, where before I was just like, let's just ride through this section. Now I was like, how do I get through this section in the most fun way? And that's where it's always fun. That's where, I don't know, that's where our local trails, I think, come alive, is like, as you start thinking differently about the trail and how you ride your bike, or some kind of new thing you've learned. Maybe you're faster on corners now, so you could rip through this corner and hit this thing right after it. Like, the trails open up when your skills open up too. So that's what I love about it as well.
Yeah, it's so true. It's hard to get bored on any trail because it's always changing for you, and accommodating your skill set. And then when you have buddies along and somebody's a little bit like, you're either showing them the way or somebody's showing you the way, it's always fun that way as well. A couple more people in the house. Dakota is on. What's up, Dakota? Hey, Dakota is a veterinarian, so he's over there checking, making sure Pepper Pip is good. Trail Dogs is in the house. What's up, Trail Dogs? They say what's happening. Oh, MTB KO is on the line. She says, "Hey, Pupper Pip." Oh yeah, and hey, Tony. MTB Raging. Craig is in the house. What's up, Craig? Thanks for being here. And Trail Dogs had mentioned, love overshooting jumps to the natural transitions.
Oh yeah. Overshooting jumps, though, I don't know.
It depends on how transitionable that is.
Yeah, there's still some transition left there. Yeah.
If you ride like some of these guys, I know Aaron Bernstein, Isaiah, those guys they're pretty good. So they're eyeing stuff. Now, okay, so going from the mountain bike, how you got into it, and talking about the trails, and you and I visualizing everything as transitions everywhere, transitions or ledges everywhere. I know one of the things for me coming from skateboarding to a mountain bike is I'm still trying to get over the rock gardens, because I'm still thinking I'm on these little tiny wheels, and I'm trying to like do everything I can to ungulate the bike to get through them. Is that something that happened to you, or is that just one lonely skater over here?
No, it's true. I think the rock gardens are always fun for me. I actually love them because I love playing chess on the trail. So rock gardens become like a chessboard, right? Like, and you've only got a few seconds to figure it out, especially if you're riding blind. So I always love it.
Keeping us in suspense. He said, "We only have a few, but we lost what the rest of it could be."
I'm losing my for a second. I think I missed the first part of that.
No, there is. I was just saying we lost because you said there's only going to be a few, and then it paused, and I was like, he's keeping us in suspense. I wonder what it is. But yeah, Tony, you has to keep the rock. You love rock gardens, but there's only a few, and then it stopped.
Oh, I froze.
You froze,
Oh, okay.
or
I
I
love
froze.
cards because they feel like a chessboard, you know, and I love navigating that. And you only have a few seconds to navigate those, especially if you're riding blind. So I just love the quick reflexes you have to have on those things. And I think that honestly, it's going to sound like I don't want to bring 27 versus 29, but I love them on a 27, but now on a 29, I'm definitely more confident, obviously, because of the bigger wheel size. But I still feel like I'm able to play chess in them. But if I make a little bit of a wrong move, the consequence isn't as harsh as when I was on a smaller wheel. I can kind of get through it and like catch myself a little bit. But rock gardens are some of my favorite stuff. Today we were riding a place called Skeggs, and there was these like, rollers that landed into kind of rock garden stuff, but you'd have to. It wasn't like gnarly, but it was like if you went too slow, you'd land in the middle, so you'd have to kind of float over that. It was fun though, like landing in that and then having to navigate. I love it when a trail throws like different things at you all at once. You know, like you got a roller, a jump, rock gardens right after that. You've got to shoot. Like that's the stuff.
That is such good stuff. That is such good stuff. Adam Mock made it to the line. He says, "Yo, what's up? Ready to go? What's up, everyone?"
Hey, Adam.
And then getting to the point of the rock gardens here, Tony Trail Dog says they love the sound of the rock gardens. Love the sound of the rock gardens. Yeah, it's such a cool sound, especially when I see footage of people on Rocket. It's just that whole thing.
Oh yeah,
forever.
Rocket is a crazy trail. That's one of those trails. It's hard to see what you're really dealing with unless you ride it. Because when you're watching it on video, it just looks like you're just. But when you get there, you're like, okay, those are things that have holes in them, and like, you know, it's a blue trail, but I would say a hard blue.
Yeah, it's a bunch of front tire grabbers, is what they are.
Yeah.
Darren's on the line right now. He says, "What's up, Master Chief Darren from the Navy?" So Tony, your channel is awesome because when we talk about trails, you are the guy, right? You're the guide we all go to. We watch the video, we understand where the entry is, what to look out for, which way to turn. How did you come up with the concept?
You hear him?
Yeah, he's like, that's the secret sauce, Mark. We can't give that away.
It's just Mark. The concept happened with that guy right there, Pip. I would go out and just bring a Rilo 360, and I would film myself on the trails a long time ago, and before the trail started, and make videos and just talk crap to myself, be silly, bark at the dog, and then talk to my wife Heather and make her watch them. And at first she was like kind of getting a kick out of it, and then after a couple of weeks she's like, I can't watch this anymore, you know, I had enough. You need to do something like this. So
a bigger audience, please.
Yeah, find out so you could just do this for YouTube or something. So I was like, all right. And then I thought about when I first moved to California, I didn't know where the hell I was going. At all these beautiful mountains and places that I hear about, Laguna, how do I ride these trails? Where do I park? All this stuff. Everybody kept saying go to Laguna. It's not that simple. You don't just go to Laguna and get on some beautiful trails and have a great day. You got to do research. And at the time, I was basically trying to figure out all this stuff. And after about a year, I figured it out. And I was like, I guarantee you, so many people that want to visit here or come here or even live here probably don't even know some of these loops. So I started just figuring out like, hey, I'll do this. And if somebody finds it helpful, and cool, if somebody watches, and I just started randomly turning the camera on, and I get a lot of people that ask questions like, how do I start a YouTube channel? Just turn the camera on, man. That's all you have to do, and it'll take care of itself eventually. You'll figure it out, and you'll see if you have fun doing it. For me, I loved it. I just went out, and I was an idiot. I would talk about things, but I try to keep it informative. And eventually, people started watching them and using them, and they would give me feedback and say like, dude, I had no idea that this loop was in my backyard, and they would discover it. So I was like motivated off that. So that's why I kind of kept doing it. Like the whole I'll bring your map to life was like a real thing that I was trying to do, is like take that map off Trail Forks or whatever, give you a visualization of what you're about to ride, and kind of take you along for whatever hijinks comes along, you know?
Yeah. The adventure. It felt like an adventure. I originally started mountain biking, and I was just YouTubing things and your videos would pop up. And it was always confidence inspiring to be like, okay, I'm not going to get lost. This guy was able to show me where to be, where to park, where to go. And I got a preview of the whole thing. So I loved it. And then obviously everybody else is loving it too. Your channel is growing wildly popular. And it's very good.
Hey, I'm going to bring this guy in.
Yeah. Speaking of,
yeah.
Mark, how's it going?
Oh, good. What's happening, buddy? Hey, congratulations to you on your 1,000 subscribers. I'm so stoked for you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I appreciated the boost at the end, man.
Oh, but I just stepped. You were at 993, and I was just like, let's get him there.
Yeah, sure.
But the thing is, he got to 1,000, and now he's done. He's gonna quit.
Oh no.
It's a joke between me and Byron from the Listed Trailheads. I just tell him, like, I'm gonna be done at 1,000, bro.
So, Mark, for the people who are on the line tonight, people listening in on the podcast, just introduce your channel, introduce yourself real quick.
Okay, hey guys, I'm Scouts Out. I tend to do a bunch of kind of random videos. I like to mainly focus on mountain biking, but I'm totally having fun with it and enjoying. And yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and Scouts Out's up in the Central Coast area. So if you want to see anything that's kind of like in that area, but you travel around, like you guys today are in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, he came up yesterday. I told him where I was coming up, and he took a couple of days off, so we rode today. And we're leaving tomorrow, but he's been up here since yesterday afternoon. Pretty cool.
That's cool. That's cool. We got a couple comments. Mark, hang out if you want. I want there's people here in the audience that have questions. Captain's Cog is on the line. He says, "What's up, MTB dudes?" And we have a question here from MTBKO. She's asking, "What is the hardest rock garden in your opinion, Tony?" And also to you, Scouts Out.
I would say, I don't know if it's hardest. I would say there's a trail that I never really do in Laguna. How's it called? Rattlesnake, I think. And it's just got like a section in it that has like scissor rocks. Those rocks that if you hit wrong, they're going to give you a flat tire. There's a section of that trail that the looser and drier it gets, the rocks wear down more and more and more, and they stick up more. So they're almost like spikes sticking up. So I would say that one is like the most dangerous one if you hit it fast. I never do that trail just because it drops you in such a low point of Laguna that it's a pain in the ass to climb out.
Wow,
but
that climb is
every few months I'll go and hit it. And that one, every time I'm never ready for that rock garden. I would say probably Rattlesnake, but if I had more time, I could probably come up with a couple, but.
Yeah, you guys chime in if you're on here and a rock garden comes to mind. Pop it in there. She says, "Oh yeah," she knows what you're talking about.
Okay, cool.
That could be either the descent too, because I accidentally did that descent. Like, woohoo, this is so fun, and then the climb out was like, "Where's the park? Where's the park where my car is?"
It's almost like it's not a ride killer, but you're really putting another like 45 minutes to get back out of that thing.
It is. I had a guy pass me on an e-bike on the way up, and I was dying. Like it just took my brain. Like, oh, geez, Louise.
Yeah, that makes a good point too. The rock garden at the bottom of Car Wreck is pretty harsh.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go.
That's a good one.
Oh my God, everyone's thinking the same thing. Car wreck, nar. MTB Raging says Rattlesnake climbed out. Scouts Out. How about you, bud? Where you are? What's how about a challenging rock garden in your area?
I think I'm stuck on the last one, which is Firebreak. It's the last one trail I just did, really, and it's definitely very chunky, very large, and very hard to kind of get through. But if you get through right and you got good lines, you're perfectly fine. But if you mess up, not so much. Yeah. But Firebreak, there's a lot up on the Cuesta grade that's just like that, that really kind of tears you up. But it's fun. It's good. They're good trails up there.
That's the ride we just did where I crashed. I did my crash.
Yeah, we both there.
Yes, you guys are both on both channels. You guys were crashing.
Yeah.
that looked pretty gnarly on video, so I know in person it was no joke.
Yeah.
We had a question up here. I think it was MTB Trail Dogs. Oh no, somebody was saying that Rocket was getting torn up. I don't know if that's just is that from too many riders, or is that from something with the county or the city?
I hope it's not neither. I hope it's not getting tore up.
I hope not. I hope not either. Hope not either. MT Raging says those uphills elevator, slow and easy.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, trick to a rock garden. if a rock garden is short, do we just kind of float it like back in the skateboarding days when you would be on a sidewalk and you kind of like hop up a little bit to get over a crack, you know, so your wheels don't stick in there? But
Depends on
just like
where
a
you're
bunch of
going.
yeah, it's true. I guess if you're going fast, you just go over it. So
Yeah.
what is your what is your technique when you're playing chess with the rock gardens? And say it's just like a 2.5 bike length rock garden.
I would just say, this is going to maybe sound weird, but I used to think about this on my skateboard, is I try to stay light on my bike, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to people, but like staying light on your bike is not just like making your body feel part of the suspension and working with the bike instead of just staying stiff, you know, like, so staying light on your bike in skateboarding would mean like, you know, you ollie onto a ledge and grind. You don't ollie onto the ledge and snap into it and put all your weight into the grind. You kind of you kind of just like stay light and let it grind and then hop off. Like you're kind of dancing in and out. So that's kind of how I feel like on a rock garden I try to stay as light as possible on the bike and just kind of let the bike roll over and not just put all my weight into it. I don't know if that translates to a skill set, but just more of a way I think, you know?
Yeah, I completely understand that. It's like it's almost like you're trying to get to the upper part of your suspension and let the tires just kind of like twinkle toe across the top as much as possible.
Especially for the short ones, you can kind of just like almost like prepare, like, okay, and then let it go, you know?
Yeah, like Fred Flintstone them kind of just kind of like. What about you, Scouts Out? How do you approach those?
You know, I think the best right. I think the best example I had honestly was at Laguna when we did ride car wreck, right?
Yeah.
Tony just told me, just keep up your speed, man. It'll be just fine. Just go. And it is very janky, very nasty out there. And honestly, like I just listened to him and I just held on to it. And like you said, man, just keep it light, keep the arms loose, and you just roll right through it. You know, the faster you go, sadly, the better it is. And I learned that a lot out there at the Quest to Grade is keeping that speed up. The slower you go, the more chance you're going to have your tire grabbing into something and you're going over the bars. Or if you're going fast, you can skip over things and just kind of keep it going.
Yeah, good point. Good point. What do we do when the rock garden is long? Like you have Rocket, that's just one ginormous rock garden. What is it? Is it line choice? Is it speed? What the heck is it?
Rocket is line choice and speed. The faster you go on that one is the better you're going to do. The end gets really choppy, so stay over, not over your bike, but like over your bike. I think you'll be fine. But yeah, rock gardens, I think a lot of the time, honestly, is just speed is your friend. You know, as long as you don't get stuck in a deep pocket or something like that, where your front tire is going to get bucked out, like I think you're good. Or, I mean, rock garden is a pretty vague term too. Like there's boulder rock gardens where the ones you really have to hop from rock to rock. But when the little choppy ones, though, I think you can just blaze through those.
Yeah. It looks like everybody else on the line is saying something similar. Speed is your friend, also staying light. Trail Dogs and speed, more speed.
Yep. That was a hard one for me to learn.
It seems so counterintuitive, right? It's just like, I think I need to slow down for some of this, but then the rock gardens get more pronounced.
Yeah, exactly. The slower you go, the more stuck you're going to get.
Yeah, there's a small rock garden. Scouts, I don't know if you had a chance at Greer. There's a trail called Overdrive, and one of the last turns towards the bottom, there's a rock garden and it turns kind of right, and I feel like it grabs a lot of people's front tires right there. If you're just at that critical speed where you're not too fast, but you're just at that very little slow, then you're going to go visit some rocks.
I haven't rode Greer yet. That looks absolutely fun though.
Yeah. Oh man, when you get down here, you'll have to go out with us there. Probably not in the summertime unless we go early in the morning. For because of the heat. Yeah, it gets hot out there. So Tony, we're kind of already naturally in the trail talk part of the episode. Yeah. What are some of the trails that really just energize you or you can't get enough of?
Like specific named or just trails types?
Ooh, good question. I guess if they're sanctioned, you can say, but like if you had a choice, like what are your top 5 trails and why?
Locally, I don't know if I can do 5, but like I'll say TNA is my favorite just go-to trail because it's got a little bit of everything in it. It's a super long descent. Up top, you kind of have that warm-up area where it's a little bit flowy with some switchbacks, and then the middle section is just super fast and just kind of blaze down into the next section, which is more technical. The bottom section of TNA is one of my favorites, just because it's got that chunky. We just talk about rock gardens, but it's got rock garden chutes, right? So you're just kind of like going down fast sections with rock gardens into the next section that's just all chunky rock, and then the last bit is just like a full send. Hold on to the bars and pin it. That trail has a little bit of everything in there, and I always just kind of go to that one when I haven't ridden Laguna in a while. That's like definitely on my list. I've been really into stair steps lately. I really like the waterfall section there. I'm excited that they're starting to do some things in Aliso where they're making like links now is going to be a downhill only trail, so you don't have to worry about hikers coming up. They're putting new signs up for that now, and I think that's a positive move, especially in around Laguna when things have been so tough for a while, that we're starting to see some stuff like that. The last thing you want to do is run into hikers going on a trail that fast. So they're starting to see that. I think that's a positive thing. Overdrive at Greer is one of my favorites. There's just, we're really in a lucky place in Orange County to have that as an option, to have so many good trails. So it's really hard to name, but I mean, I'm up here in Santa Cruz right now. I did some great riding up here. One of my favorite trails is right over here, the Demo Forest at Flow Trail. I was lucky enough to be taken on a local ride here 2 days ago. Some secret trails.
Dang.
You did 21 miles, 3.5 hours, and most of that was just pure forest single track. It was incredible. So I can't see the names of those trails, but that was one of the highlights of my year so far. There's going to be a video on that too, so that's going to be coming in a couple of weeks. It might be because it was so long, but that was awesome. Good times.
What a special treat to get a local treatment up there. Some secret stuff. Now up there, is it steep and loamy type of terrain, or
it depends on the year. Right now I'm kind of up here in a little bit late, so it hasn't rained in a while, so it's pretty dusty. It's not as loose as it is in SoCal, but depends where you go. But it's pretty loose. It's not like our trails though. Like we're in the trees and stuff like that, so it's a different type of dirt. But a lot of the people up here are like, oh, it's not like you should have been here in winter, but it's like I'm having such a blast on it regardless. Like I don't care what dirt it is right now. It's really fun.
And I've seen some footage coming out of there where even the camera, the GoPro effect, makes it look steep. So I'm sure there's some things that make you pucker.
Yeah. That goes along with the territory, I guess. Yeah.
Nice.
Last time I was riding with this guy over in San Luis Obispo, Firebreak, that trail that I couldn't really name. It's kind of in a gray area. A lot of people know about that trail, but I didn't want to say the name of it in the video because, you just get in trouble with the locals. But anyway, that trail was amazing. It was like 25 minutes, has rock gardens, flow sections, the rock drop stuff, and jumps. And so that trail, I can't wait to get back to and get some redemption on that rock as well.
Yeah, let me pull that up actually. For the folks that are here, let's take a peek at the Instagram here. We have some footy, or actually we have some stories. There's some pictures. This one right here, Tony, is this on Firebreak or one of the trails that leads to that trail?
Firebreak, yeah, that's the drop that I got messed up on.
Yeah, look at that thing. The camera never does it justice. How big is that thing?
I don't know. What do you think?
It's probably close to shoulder height if you're standing next to it, but by the time you actually land and hit, you're looking at 7-8 feet of flight time, really. Wow.
That's bananas. And is it one of those blind takeoffs where you're kind of coming at it and you
come around a turn and it's kind of pops in front of you, so I put down a rock to know where to kind of take off from. The thing I didn't think about when I did it, so I landed it the first time and had to put the brakes on because it went off the trail. I didn't think through it enough to realize, like, okay, after you land, you need to be onto the trail, because it's not like it's a bike park where there's just this perfectly groomed trail that you're landing in. Like you land in like a shrapnel zone. If you don't land perfectly straight, you're gonna have a bad day. And that's basically what ended up happening. My second round is I just kind of like landed a little bit too right and went and fell right into the rock garden. Yeah, that's some of the remnants from the crash right there. Yeah.
And then in video, if you guys haven't seen that, definitely go and check out Tony's channel. He has the video on that. Scouts Out's on that too, so check out Scouts Out as well while you're there. But you can see when Tony lands on that second attempt, it's like a washout into these rocks, and then it looks like the trail's turning a little bit to the right as well, and it was kind of the right side of the trail kind of popped up a little bit.
Yeah, the trail moved on me, so it wasn't really my fault. The trail moved as I was.
Literally did.
Yeah.
It literally did. MTBGH says, I broke my rear chain stay on stupid crash at the end of TNA, going back to the TNA. Okay. Adam Mock has a question for you, Tony, and this will apply to you too, Scouts Out. Speaking of vids, what are the favorite videos that you guys have made so far?
You want to take that one first, or?
I guess I would start. I think I always go towards the most recent video, I think, because I think you always put up, so much more effort into the more recent videos than you do before. You're always learning and moving forward. So I'd have to probably argue my last video.
Yeah, I like the way you're thinking. I like it. For me, it's tough to pick a favorite, but because I always feel the exact same way. Like my most recent video is the most progressed I am at editing. So I feel like what I'm always hitting the upload button on last is the last thing I'm most proud of. But if I have to say and look back, just like what I took the most time with, it's not even a video that's on my channel. I did a review for Fox MTB apparel that went on Vital MTB. I don't know if a lot of people saw it, but I took a lot of time to make that, and probably 2 months here between me making videos. And
wow,
that's one of my favorites, just because I was like able to dissect the each piece specifically. I went and up to Sky Park, and I did like an on the trail review of the first time I wore the pieces and talked about some. I won't get into details of it, but I think that one was just me feeling like this is what you can do if you take your time with a video and put some thought into it and plan it instead of just going out there and seeing what happens. So that was kind of the start of when I started thinking about videos differently.
That's very cool. Adam Mock says, Scouts Out has some tight edits. Love it. That's a big shout out to you, my man. So when you guys are, speaking of videos, when you guys are editing videos or creating videos, are you guys scripting these, or do you guys just kind of hit record and then let the trail tell the story and you just kind of piece it together on the back end? How do you guys approach that?
I'm off the cuff, so I don't script anything. I just know what I want to say and I hit record and see what comes out. And sometimes it's stupid and I'll do it one more time. But usually what you see from me is one take stuff. Like I usually, my intros or anything I'm voicing over is usually my first or second try, because I don't really feel natural doing it twice because it feels forced. So whatever's coming out first feels more authentic, things like that. Like this last video I just did was one take, and some of the audio was messed up. I didn't want to do it again because it wasn't going to feel right, and it wasn't going to have the same type of passion I was talking about, because I felt like I had to do it over. So if I'm talking about something I care about, I just want to get it done. But if I have to, if the edit is like completely garbage, I'll do it again, but I won't be able to do it again right away. I'm weird. Like, I don't know. I could do scripts. It would probably make it easier, maybe, but I don't think for me that's as comfortable, because I really just like hanging out and talking to the camera and to the people that were watching,
Yeah. I like that. And I could tell, and I actually experienced that when we rode Velocity, when Mr. Adam Mock went ahead and helped me out with my video and did that crazy 80s theme retro cut for us. That was pretty awesome. That was awesome. Adam Mock, thank you so much. And even the whole part where you said, and he does three things well. He's a genius at editing. He does storyboards well, and he eats nachos pretty well too. I completely missed that until Adam's video came out, and he's got like the stack of 6 inches of cheese on his nachos.
Yeah, that was a great play. I love that he did that.
That was a good play. How about you, Scouts Out? What's your approach on making your vids?
Well, I think I try and do my best while I'm out on the trail, but then what happens was I start editing and I just don't talk enough, honestly. So I always end up doing some kind of voiceover, and yeah, I always script the voiceover, but the problem is I'm trying to read it and trying to sound as normal as possible and still stay interested into what I'm saying. I think I never say the script. I get very close to it, but for the most part, I just kind of like just try and let it spit out. It's more like the script of like a general idea of what I want to talk about. So that's kind of usually my approach to it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, and both are right. It's just like everyone's different way of telling the story. And sometimes when you look at these trails, the trails are trying to tell us a story. We're just kind of the translators. We just kind of, this is what we saw, this is what we experienced. Hope you experienced something cool like this too. Definitely saw that from Tony. And then with Droney brings a whole different thing to the edit. Droney McDrone face. I mean, geez Louise.
Droney is not allowed in a lot of places though. So Droney is very special to videos. When I can put him in, I love it. But he's kind of a pain in the butt. He has a lot of extra care on the trail, as you saw. He's kind of a stubborn little guy. But once he gets going, he's great.
It's like one of those principal actors, you know, like you bring him out of the backpack, you got to feed him a little bit of water, make sure the right color M&Ms are there.
The green M&Ms all the time. I'm not playing.
So if anybody has any questions for Tony or Scouts Out on trails, please pipe them in. But we're going to go ahead and transition over to the next part of the episode, which is more of like, it used to be who was your favorite YouTubers. And now what I think I'm trying to say more specifically to my guests is who inspires you or who motivates you on a basis, daily, weekly, whatever it is.
Like channel wise or any wise?
Either way, it could be a creative inspiration, a motivational inspiration, or somebody in your past that really helped you change into the direction that you are today.
I'll keep it simple. I'll talk about just what I've been watching lately and just say like, it sounds weird. I've geared off of, I used to be obsessed with watching every single mountain bike video that came out from like every channel. And I think when making videos every single week and editing so much and putting so much time into myself, I found it like I got a little burnt on just watching and editing and watching and editing. And so I still watch them, but not as much. So I do like finding other creative ways to implement ideas or get motivation from outside of mountain biking. Like I really like watching different genres of what they're doing. So like, for example, I really like Van Nystat, what he started doing. He's got a new channel. It's really creative and unique, and I don't think there's anyone doing what he's doing right now on YouTube. I really like Matt Davella. I really like the things he talks about always ring true for me. Like he's always talking about something personal and it really relatable, and he does really great, like while he's doing them, he does great angles and great camera shots and gives kind of ideas for new ways of doing things. For mountain bike channels, I really love what BC POV has been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching his series. He's literally been weekly updating a trail that he's building from scratch, and it's just about done. And it's just like a really interesting process to watch somebody build a trail from scratch, from like annoying things from like a water pit with rocks. How do you figure out, like, the trail has to go here? How do you figure out this problem? Or, you know, cutting up a tree in a certain way to make a shark fin. And I don't know, like, I think it's cool because he's never done it before and he's learning as he goes and he's showing us what he's learning. So I think that's a really unique and creative approach to a mountain bike channel, where it's usually just, you know, the recipe that we usually do. So he's really just doing something different.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
I like that. It's kind of like how MTB Allen told me at one point, like, people like to see how sausage is made when it comes to YouTube stuff. So when you're kind of going along the adventure, it's not like this buttoned up, polished thing that's that you're watching. Sometimes it's like how they're figuring something out, or kind of taking you along with them on the ride.
Yeah, or like seeing what someone did and then trying to figure out how they did it, right? Like trying to put the puzzle together behind the scenes. Like, I want to do something like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's fun.
Yeah, all the different things, like the Nystat thing, like, oh, you put the camera in the cupboard when you go to the cupboard to get the coffee out, and then you put the camera by the coffee machine to make the coffee. It's like all that takes like a day, and it's a cup of coffee, but it looks freaking amazing.
Yeah. Crazy how much time some of that stuff takes, and it's 2 seconds in a video, right?
Totally. Like sometimes they have those like shots where someone's just walking, that person is walking down the sidewalk, and you're thinking, that wasn't a drone. Did they go up to that apartment and put that up there and then press play and then walk all the way back down to the street and walk by? It's nuts.
Later
and, but it's all buy-in because you're watching it. You're like, oh, that's cool. That's really cool. How about you, Scouts Out? What do you what on that subject? Anybody there that motivates you or has been an inspiration to you or your channel?
I'd say I started really with BKXC on my hardtail. And then I immediately found the YT brand, and I was really interested in a YT. I didn't know if I wanted a Jeffsy or a Capra. So I found this guy here as the YT Capra, and then Van Can with his YT Capra, and he had a YT Jeffsy. So I used to watch the hell out of both of their channels, and I still do, honestly. I still like both of them, and it's absolutely amazing. I get to actually ride with them. So really,
I know. It's cool. It's so cool. You're like, that's really you. You're really here. We're really here. We're riding. I feel like I'm in what do they call it? When you wear those goggles and you're not really there, but you're there. It's yeah. It's like that. You're like, holy crap, this is cool. Okay, MTBDH says, Tony, how has the drone been working out? Worth it, or do you still prefer the GoPro?
I don't have a preference. I don't think that those two things you can compare. The drone brings something completely different to the shots. So I don't think I would ever be able to use just the drone, but I love the combination with the GoPro and the drone, if that makes sense. So I definitely think it's worth what I paid for it and what it's bringing to the channel. I've experiencing new ways of editing. It's brought me like kind of like I just love seeing, and every time I bring it out, thinking of a new way to try to get a shot, you know, it's really intuitive. So wherever I put Droney is where he's going to kind of stay or where he's going to be around. So I just love trying to figure out ways and trails and new ways of bringing that view into the picture, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen you toggle back and forth between the two and use the GoPro on your chest as the audio for Droney as Droney's flying above, you know, like all these different things on how you make it work is cool. And it just seamlessly goes in and out throughout your video, which I know I love seeing those different angles whenever you can get Droney out. Yeah. Anything else on the YouTube or inspiration side from you guys that you didn't get a chance to share?
You're putting me on the spot here, Mark. I don't
know. well, I mean, we can always go back to it if something pops up. But great stuff. Definitely good folks to follow. If you haven't had a chance to check out some of the folks that Tony and Scouts Out talked about, those are some great things to see. And just some of that is a little bit different camera angles and ideas that pop up. But it's good to see where that motivation is coming from. Now, a perfect segue and transition into where we're heading next is product spotlight. Both of you guys are YT guys. I don't know, where that's all coming from, but
I think you glitched out there for a second. Say that one more time.
Did I? Oh, I said you guys are. I said the perfect segue for the next spot is called product spotlight, and I know both you guys are on the YT, and so cheers, boys, to the YT brand.
You are just you sponsor's dream.
It's a little. Is it too much? The hat, the lightning bolt.
Of course.
Of course not. But in this segment of the cast, I love just doing product spotlight for the guests. Any product that you want to spotlight, any company that you want to spotlight, like what's been working out for you guys, maybe what upgrades have you done? And it doesn't always have to be the bike. It could be, like Droney or anything like that.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I want to throw a plug out to the people that are supporting me. It's YT. They're completely on board and along for the long haul with me. I'm riding the Jeffsy and I'm riding the Capra right now, and excited to get the new one when it comes out and drops. They've been great. It's great having them a part of the channel, not only for the bikes, but just because I've gotten to know the people there. They're great, and Jeff is both Jeffs, Jeff the president and Jeff Nichols. We have having a personal guy to go to with the bike problems and stuff like that is huge. And this is the same guy that's working on the Red Bull bike, so this guy knows his stuff. I just bring it to him and then just say, like, I trust anything you do to this thing, do whatever you want. And it's just been super helpful and amazing to have. I can't even believe that it's been part of the channel right now. I'm still kind of adjusting, but it's great. Simplistic. There's a CBD company that are on board. It's always helpful to have somebody that has products that help after the ride and before it. Like I've gotten pretty bruised up the last couple of weeks. I've been using their products, the salves and the rub-ons and stuff like that. Maxxis Tires is a supporter of the channel. I've always ridden those tires anyway. I'll just go through the gamut here. Tokyo Automotive is now a sponsor of the channel as well, which is great because I've been traveling so much. He's helping me out with the Tacoma, any issues that come up with that. He's going to be sponsoring some road trips coming up and things like that. So what am I forgetting? Sport RX. God, right here. They're keeping me seeing on the trail. They hit me up and I had no idea what I was missing out on. Honestly, I noticed it this week in Santa Cruz. I was here last time and didn't have prescription lenses on. And now in the way that you traverse into the trails here, you're constantly in shade and sunspots and they're kind of going back and forth. And before it was just a big blur. And now I can kind of see and kind of contrast in and see the specifics. So I know this is very like pitch mode, sponsor me stuff, but
no, this is great. I mean, to share, these are the supporters of the show. I love giving that part of the show over to that type of stuff. And shout out to Sunglass Rob over at Sport RX for taking care of you. What do they recommend a specific type of glasses if we're out riding on trails that kind of, there's shade and there's sun and there's shade? Did they put you into something that's kind of helps you out with that?
Not only do that, I have two different glasses that I use. I don't know the names. One's an Oakley, one's Smith, I think. Anyway, the lenses are tinted specifically for your needs on the trail. So like one's for like an all Sunday. Another pair which I use almost all the time. They're transitioned a little bit. So you go into the trees and then you come out into the sun. It acclimates to the conditions that you're in. And that's my go-to. Like right now I'm wearing them in the trees here. And it's just like having a clear lens in, but it's crisper. So what they're doing there, that you just tell them what you do and where you ride or what activity it is, and they'll insert all the goods for you. And it's a really good pack.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I hear they've got the prescription inserts for whatever you need. Like if you're going to wear MTB goggles out on the trail and you need prescription, they can make all that stuff work.
Exactly.
Which is super cool. Going back to the first one, going back to YT, John W. here, one of the guests says, Tony, are you going to go with the coil rear shock on the new Capra, or thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think that I'm going to get the Core 4. So I think that comes with the regular shock. I think the only one that comes with the coil is the limited edition one, which this is why YT is so cool. He said I could have one, but I felt guilty, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna get the Core 4 because there's only 100 made of the limited pink one. And I was like, when I found that out, I'm like, dude, I feel unworthy. You know what I mean? Like the rider, give that to one of the pro riders or something. It's just, yeah, it's such a limited run. So I'm gonna get the Core 4. I think it's gonna be hopefully the blue, and it's gonna be the MX mulleted version.
Ooh, baby. Is there a time frame on that potential drop?
It's not going to be for a while, I think, unfortunately. Probably not till the end of the year, maybe a little bit later. It just, I don't know. It's like I'm looking at it like the way new cars drop. They announce it, and then you got to wait a little while. So
yeah, they get stuck on those dang boats out there. It's like, come on, bring those boats in already.
That's a real thing. The boats.
It really is. It really is.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Where send me your coordinates? I'll just swim out there and grab it.
I'll rent one and just go and get it.
No, you're learning a lot of stuff with all these different supporters of the show, and I know hardly anything about Simplistic. Now you're saying that's a CBD type of company. What products do they have, and what do you use them for?
So the salve is my go-to. I don't think I have it on me right now, but it's a rub-on in a small tin can, and it is half CBD and half arnica. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with arnica gel. It's something I've been using since I've been skating since a kid. Any sprained ankle, anything, I just go to the homeopathic store, the organic store, get arnica and rub that thing all over. And it's always really helped with bruising and speeding up the muscle injury process. So the salve is my go-to. Even when I don't crash, if I'm really sore after a big ride, I'll use it on my muscles. It really helps with that stuff. And they also have CBD rub-ons with eucalyptus that I use. It just really soothes your muscles after a ride. It's kind of like almost like a roll-on, looks like a roll-on deodorant stick, and you just kind of rub it on your skin after a ride and chill, watch TV or whatever. Those are the main ones that I use. And what's awesome is that it actually works, I think. It's not just a myth. Like, I really like having those products, like kind of believe in them. And that's what I want to do with anybody that supports the channel. Not only am I excited that they're there to support me and support what I'm doing, but I want to always be authentic, and my reputation is huge to me. So I only want to bring in brands that I would be normally using and backing in my normal life, not just for the money, things like that.
Yeah.
It's important to stay that way.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Genuine authenticity is huge. And if you're using it in your everyday life, then it's just a win-win for everybody. So it sounds like Simplistic is a good one for recovery. So we can go hard and then just use those products to recover. Things that you already use in your life, you were saying Maxxis Tires is one of the supporters of the show. What Maxxis Tires are you guys running right now? And Mark, if you're running them too, feel free to chime in.
What are you running?
I'm on DHR2 still.
Yeah.
And I like them. So.
Nice.
Back and forth. I usually have on the Capra, I have an Assegai in the front, DHF in the back. I have, no, not DHR in the back. I have DHF and DHR on the Jeffsy right now, but I have I have a whole bunch I'm looking forward to. Like, I'm going to throw a Dissector on the Jeffsy pretty soon. His tire's on its way out. So I like bouncing around. I'm going to throw an Assegai on that Capra maybe for Snow Summit and see how that feels. That tire is it's a little wider, 2.5 for the back.
Mm-hmm.
Usually do 2.4, but a little 2.5 in the summertime here just adds a little bit more stability, possibly. So we'll see. I'm lucky enough where I have a bunch now and I can play around and see what feels good, But my go-to has always been in the back, the DHR. So you got to have a bunch of those,
Yeah, that's what I think I'm running on my Jeff C right now. It's whatever Jeff Nichols and Jeff Taylor put on that bike. I'm like, sweet, this is perfect.
Yeah.
I'm running with that. The Maxxis Tires. Going back to Simplistic, Debbie Crow says, I use CBD salve for my Achilles injury. Really helped in the early stages with the extreme pain. Good stuff. Yeah. Curious, Debbie, is that Simplistic brand or what brand is it? But it sounds like similar type of ingredients with the CBD. Kathleen K, what's happening? Team YT right here. So this is great. This is great. I do want to make sure that I always try to separate us. We're on the creative side, the YouTube side of the YT venture. We got the athletes over there. They're doing all the backflips and stuff. I'm behind the lens there. Mark, how about you? Anybody there that you have that you would like to shout out for product spotlight or products that you're using?
No, I don't do any kind of any of that yet. So I don't know. If I find a company I truly enjoy, like YT or something like that crazy, I probably would do that. But as of now, no, I'm just keeping it simple and just having fun with it. So,
yeah. What are some of the favorite products that you ride right now?
I mean, if pad wise, I'd say like the Fox. I really enjoyed like the Fox knee pads and stuff like that, and their gloves. But for the most part, I mean, I'm pretty open for whatever equipment I can find at the time that I enjoy, and if I like it, I'll use it.
Yeah, that's cool. Very, very cool. There's a tire company that's up and coming called Versus Tires. Try to see if you I don't know if you've heard of them, but if you haven't, definitely check them out. They're doing some great things too. They got some good tires. Going back to the CBD thing again, here we go. Debbie says, my CBD salve is Venga CBD 1000. And Adam Ock saying, favorite component brand, gentlemen. Do you guys have a favorite brand for components?
I like Crank Brothers.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah. Crank Brothers.
One Up's pretty cool. I like their handlebar I had on the Remedy, the kind of like, I don't know what the name of it is, but it's the one that moves a little bit, and I like that it took off some of the arm pump. I was thinking about getting that again.
Yeah. How about you, Scouts Out? What do you?
I'd say SRAM. I really enjoy SRAM, honestly.
Yeah.
I like the brakes. I like the the shifting. I've used a little bit of some of the Shimano stuff and wasn't as happy with it. So I think and maybe that's just because I know how to adjust them at this point now, and maybe I just feel more comfortable with them. But I'm definitely all SRAM on that.
Nice. Yeah. Good stuff. I've been the only one thing the Jeffsy came with, I think it's ODI grips, the ODI grips. And I came off of the Rev grips. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to try those Rev grips, but I definitely think I feel a difference with those Rev grips. I mean, I don't get any arm pump when I ride with those, and I really feel good on those. But I'm giving the ODIs a try because, they came with the bike, and that bike does way more than I can do right now.
I like the grips. I've been riding death grips for the last couple of years. Those are really nice. I like those.
Death grip.
Yeah, they're nice.
Nice. How about you, Scouts Out? What are you riding on those?
I'm still using the ODIs that came off of the bike, and I've actually been pleasantly surprised and enjoyed them. But I have been looking at those rev grips too, like thinking the same thing, that I'd like to get rid of some arm pump. So, and I don't know if that's me just squeezing the bars too hard, or if maybe, the grips would help out. I would definitely try it one of these days for sure.
Yeah. Adam Ock here says, might I recommend Deity Super Cush grips? Huh.
Okay.
Never heard, but I'll give them that sounds cool. Give those a try.
You can recommend, Adam.
Yeah, definitely so. All right, guys, heading over to the part of the show where we talk about some funny questions to kind of like bring it towards the end of the episode. But some funny questions for both you guys, just to see how you guys answer these, because everybody answers them different. No right or wrong, but definitely want to know the whys behind the questions.
Okay.
So, question 1. We'll start with Tony. We'll bounce over to Scouts Out, and we'll just keep that ball rolling. So the first question, Tony, is cereal a soup? Why or why not?
Oh man, it's cereal. What kind of? That's silly. It's totally.
So it is a soup, and the why is because that's definitely silly. It's cereal.
Yeah. I can't think of I think of soup as a meal like in itself for dinner, right? Soup is like a noodle, a vegetable, a broth. Cereal is just milk and some kind of like Cheerio
grain.
Yeah. It's just out of a bowl and it's liquid doesn't make it soup. That's just me.
There you go, man. I was almost getting that. Yay!
Hey, I was pretty sure you were going to talk about meatballs. I think you're going to ask me. You're talking about food. You don't ask me about a meatball sub. What the hell's going on?
Well, wait. One of the guests back here, I didn't want to miss it, but he asked. It's Vegas Mike. He says, "Where is there a good place for a meatball sandwich in the Central Coast?"
Oh, he'd have to ask him. I just discovered the best meatball sub I've had all year is here in Brookdale. It's at Ellie's Deli, and they make it. Oh God, I want it right now. It's so good. It's when the bread gets soft enough to get saturated with the sauce, and the cheese and the bread and the sauce become one around the meatball. Oh, geez. You're not only biting into the meat. You're not just biting into the bread. The bread is now part of the meatball.
Oh, it's like the same texture almost. Like you can't decipher between the bread and the meatball. It's
all one thing, man. It's all.
Oh my gosh, that sounds pretty amazing, actually. What was the name of that place again?
Castelli's Deli. It's right up the street from here.
Castelli's Deli, meatball sandwich.
Took a long time to get, but once I bit in, I was okay with it.
Nice. And hey, if you guys go there, tell them Tony sent you. Tony. Hey. So, Scouts Out, what about you? Central Coast, if anyone's going there, they're thinking meatball sandwich, or they're listening to this podcast, meatball sandwich. Where would they want to pull into?
How am I supposed to go after that?
I know.
He's not as passionate about
meatballs. Not as passionate about meatballs. Because I'm going to say something like Olive Garden.
You get in trouble that way.
I know, right?
Soup and the salads, Connor. Pretty good.
Yeah. Is that soup or is that no?
Soup.
That's the soup. That's the soup. All right. Vegas Mike says, I eat cereal without milk. I can't eat soup without broth. Interesting.
You eat cereal without milk? That's not
cereal.
That's not cereal. That's something else.
It's a yogurt topping, maybe, at that point, huh?
Yeah. That's a topping. That's a topping on some kind of other
That's
thing.
A topping of Vegas Mike. We love you no matter what, however you eat your cereal and soup. Because Debbie says, me too, Vegas Mike. So there's more than one.
That's a crazy here.
And you sold a meatball sandwich, Vegas Mike. Guess I'm driving up to Santa Cruz this weekend.
Get up here for the meatball sub and then riding secondary.
Or go for a hard ride, put on some of that CBD, and then have a meatball sub. There you go.
Eat some CBD and then get a meatball.
Yeah, that's a good way to recover, I think.
Get it right inside you quick.
Okay, next question. You guys are up in Santa Cruz, out in the wilderness, up in the trees, and you have time to think. If you were to think of a certain type of conspiracy for mountain biking to drop it into the mountain bike world, what would it be?
Like one that I think might already be there, or one that I would create to be like a Dr. Evil?
Ooh, let's do both. Sounds like you have both already on the thought process.
Or you could make up a conspiracy about how bikes are so hard to find that all the bike brands have gotten together, all the presidents, and figure out a way to create a mass demand. That way, when everybody was ready and willing to put all the money down, boom, look, all the bikes arrive and they sell. All of them are sold out.
That's true, though.
It's a long, hard game, though, to play.
Yeah, no, I mean, the selling out part is true. But yeah, interesting. Now, is that happening, or is that a Dr. Evil thought?
I don't know if it's happening, actually. And at this point in this world, I wouldn't believe it, but if it happened, I'd be like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. They'd be like, gosh, dang, they had all those bikes all along. They're blaming on the guys on the boat. They're like, we dropped off the bikes a week ago.
Yeah, but in reality, they've kidnapped the guy on the boat and they're not letting him dock. So
that is a very good conspiracy. All right, Scouts out. You're up next.
Good luck with this one.
I'm gonna go with you have to pay for expensive bike washing stuff, or you can't wash your bike.
Oh,
So I don't do that. I don't mind using car wash and stuff like that, and re-greasing bearings if I have to.
yeah, interesting. That's interesting. So conspiracy is that the bike washing stuff may not really be needed.
Isn't it? I heard that it's like similar stuff to the car wash stuff, right?
Probably.
I mean, it would make sense because it's washing like a $30,000 car. Why isn't it good enough for your bike?
Yeah, good point. Deep conspiracies, gentlemen. We'll be thinking about this now for a while. But there is a good smell to the muck off stuff.
Oh, I've heard the muck off's amazing. I haven't used it yet.
Yeah, I use that. It's just foam right on. Just quick rinse. I'm a paranoid guy about my bottom bracket. I like to keep all the. You don't care about the bearings. You could fix them. He's an engineer mechanic guy, so he just loves getting in there and taking things apart. I am scared of all that, so I just try to do as much as I can to alleviate any kind of problem. Like don't spray the fire hose the bottom bracket. I will just be very careful around that thing,
Yeah, and then drying the bike off, I use my leaf blower because I do. I just want to get all the stuff out of the triangle in the back,
Oh man, you should make a video about that. That's something I might want to try. I would buy a leaf blower just to do that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
like a towel, but I'm not getting in the little spaces.
Yeah, that's I put it like in the head tube right there, the neck right there. I'll get all the water out of there, and then all the brackets and everything. It just sprays it all out. Yeah, it's good stuff. And if you have a battery operated one like I do, it runs for like 10 minutes and it's gone, and bike's dry. So yeah, see, Pip likes that. So muck off.
We both do, obviously. So if you're looking for a Christmas gift for OutSider, he wants a leaf blower.
A leaf blower for Tony. And that won't be the conspiracy, because if you get a leaf blower, you'd be like, what the hell? Oh, damn, that podcast.
Yeah. Knowing my wife just around the house.
MTBDH says, muck off chain lube smells like mango.
Ooh,
yeah.
Yep.
Timothy Haley, fan of the waterless muck off wash for quick washes.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, okay, so we're talking about the muck off and the wash. I know we're going a little long tonight. We're a little over an hour here, but how do you guys prefer to wash your bike? Because everybody I've asked, they do it in a different way. Sometimes people go after every single ride. Sometimes they wait for like a month before the color of their bike changes. What do you guys like to do?
I don't use water every time. Because we're in dusty areas, you can just take a towel and just wipe the thing down. I just make sure to wipe down the areas where the suspension is, get in those crevices to get the dirt away, so that because you don't want those going back in and out. And I lube and clean my chain every single time. I don't like use the liquid. I just make sure I go through with a towel and clean all the insides and outs, and then lube it back up. If I'm going on a ride where it literally is coming back dirty or wet, or there's mud on it, I'll use the muck off and things like that. But even if, I would say probably every 5 to 6 rides, I'll just give it a quick soft rinse with the muck off. That's my routine. I try not to put water on it if I don't have to.
And how about the water pressure? Is it hard water pressure, or kind of like just sprinkle it on there?
Just sprinkle the softest setting, just the spritz. You know, the thing that like you go to the grocery store and they're spritzing down this lettuce with.
Yeah, little like just lightly spritz it. Yeah, you don't want to get the water deep into the bearings, right, or into the crevices. That's
Unless you're a psychopath.
yeah.
Scouts like and just fire hose the parent.
Right. I guess it also depends on what you may have ran over too on the trail. Like if
so,
it's something else, you might
like a wild animal stuck in there and you're trying to go
Scouts out. How about you? What's your routine there for bike cleanliness?
It's a fire hose.
I don't use the fire hose.
Tony, get out of that room.
I mean, if it was muddy, I'll go ahead and wash it down and I always use the same thing, which is a spray on car wax to wipe it down afterwards. After it's dry and ready to go, I use spray on car wax for everything. And if I didn't actually get muddy and it's just slightly dirty, I'll just use spray on car wax and a rag and just clean it down.
Oh, cool. Spray on car wax. Look at this. All these cool tips.
Yep.
And that's kind of where the next question is leading to. If you had a tip for a newbie biker or somebody who's been in it for a little bit, what would be like your number one type of tip for riding, specifically just for riding?
I don't know if it would be a tip. It would be more of a suggestion or a way of looking at mountain biking. I have a lot of people that I've taken out for first rides that didn't realize how much climbing is involved. An example, he's definitely not watching, but Henry Golding, the actor I brought out, great guy, and he was really motivated, but I could tell he had no idea what he was getting himself into. Even though he was extremely fit, way more fit than me, the hills were a really big problem for him, the climbing, and I think eventually they wore him out a little bit. I almost got him back on the bandwagon to take him out on an e-bike, and we're going to do that soon. But I think that's basically it. This is an example. It's not like me bragging about talking about friends with Henry Golding over here, but it's more of like, hey, like when you bring someone out and that's new, make sure to let them know it's not going to be just going down hills the whole time. The experience is about going up too. So you got to earn your descents a lot of the time, and it's going to be hard. Like the first time you go to the gym was hard, or the first time you lift weights is hard. Like mountain biking isn't an easy thing, and I think that's why it's an acquired taste. You have to put enough time into it to experience what the whole experience will be. Like the first impressions for people can be harsh. So I would say my tip would just be like, hey, go into it with your eyes open. This is what it's going to be like, but it will get easier.
Well said. Yeah, that's the full gamma. How about you, Scouts Out? What kind of tip would you give to somebody who's just starting out or just really not been on it for that long?
Stay away from trails that aren't on trail parks. I would say find the nice blue trails, the green trails, and ride those that are on trail parks because they're probably solid and they're probably okay at their rating level. It's, to me, when you start going into the trails that aren't on trail parks that you start finding the crazy stuff that you kind of can't get yourself out of, or you're hiking up some nasty hill to get away from it, and then you're not enjoying your experience. So I would say that, use the trail forks or the apps that are available for us and have some fun with them.
That's a great tip. Great tip, trail forks, and also just getting to know what you're up for. That's great news. I mean, for people that are getting into the mountain biking, getting into the sport, just having those expectations, is huge. Timothy Haley has a question. Would you ever use a ceramic coating for parts of your bike?
I don't know. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
I'm unfamiliar.
Yeah.
What about you, Mark? You?
I'm not exactly sure what that means, but ceramic coating for parts.
You can get ceramic bearings, I believe. Like there's a ceramic coating on certain bearings and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how you would coat something, by yourself, like at home or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe the frame. John W. saying maybe the frame. I know in the skateboarding world, you got those ceramic bearings that are like, all of a sudden the rat bones bearings are like, they're like so expensive.
Yeah.
But they supposedly run really frictionless.
Yeah.
Timothy's saying it's a paint protection for auto paint, like a wax. MTB Rad Dad. Oh, MTB Rad Dad's in the house. It's like a wax. What's up, Adam? So yeah, in that case, if it's like a wax, that sounds like I would give it a go. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll look into it. Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so last question on the kind of like funky questions, just to see how you guys take it. And we were already segueing there already, but it's literally it's with mountain biking. There's the uphill, there's the downhill, right? It's the balance of it. Which one do you guys prefer and why? The uphill or the downhill and why?
Is that a trick question?
Right.
No, I know. Well, that's why everybody answers this so differently.
Of course, downhill. That is the name of the game. I mean, if I could get a lift up every single time, I would. But I feel like I like to earn my descents too. So if I'm not going to the gym, the only way I'm getting that extra cardio is by going up. And after a while, I started to appreciate it. So I don't mind it. I like the feeling sometimes of getting to the top of the climb, knowing how much I'm going to be going down and how far I've come. But I will say this, having bike parks and the lifts as an option is amazing. But if you're just want a black and white question, it's always the downs for me. That's what I'm looking, when I'm thinking about going on a ride, I'm thinking about the downs, and then I get there, I'm like, oh, I forgot about how far I have to go up. You know, it's like, those are my memories from the ride. It's never like, oh, that climb was amazing.
Yeah, I can understand. I know exactly what you're talking about. But the meditative part comes on both sides sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes the climb brings you that meditative state, but then you're in that Zen in present mode heading downhill. And it's the go fast, don't die lizard brain.
But you made me pick one, okay?
Yes. But
I mean, the entire ride in itself is an experience. And what you said about being present, like a lot of my best thoughts are in the shower and on climbs. So the best thinking I do.
So this is a family show.
It's everybody in the shower.
So, okay, we're going to block those questions. People asking questions about the shower now, so I'm going to have to turn those off. Scouts out. How about you? Uphill or downhill, and why?
Oh, straight up downhill. I love it, man. That's why I mountain bike, honestly. I have a capper. Obviously, it's not, the best bicycle for climbing, and it does pretty dang well. It does pretty dang good for climbing. But in most cases, the really, really good downhills, they require some insanely steep stuff. And sometimes I'm walking. So, I'm a downhill guy.
Downhill. Yeah, downhill. Majority of the listeners or majority of the guests say downhill, but they usually have something to say about the uphill. That's either a teacher or it's a lesson learned or it's a fitness thing. Yep. But it's cool how like the bike is in balance that way. You have your uphill to have your downhill, you have to have your front tire to have your back tire and so on and so forth. But it's very, yes, exactly. MTB Rad Dad says, I enjoy technical climbs.
Yeah, those are good too.
Yeah, that makes it nice. Like Greer has some technical spots to it where you just you play the don't dab game on the way up. You make it to the top. It's like dab twice, dab 3 times, I win.
Yeah, to play that in Jonah.
Oh gosh, I bet. So guys, we're getting to the end of the show. Thank you both for being on. I really appreciate your time. It's great to see you guys having a blast up in Santa Cruz, living the dream. The two guys coming back from a ride and just enjoying time together.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, it's great to see you, and Tony, thanks for being on, and Scouts Out, thanks for being on. Let the folks know if they want to continue to follow you, where can they find you? And then Tony, also talk about Patreon as well with that follow.
Sure, you can find me on Instagram or on my YouTube channel, the OutSider MTB. Just Google it, and my Patreon is something that I do on the side. That is something that maybe is in a way for me to connect more with the community. We do group rides there. We do early video releases, product giveaways, and just have a great community that is always talking with each other and going on rides together. We've had a lot of people that have met on Patreon that are now riding together, and we've become good friends. So I encourage you guys to come on over. It also helps me. I do this full time now, so it's only $2 or $4 a month right now. So any little bit helps me, puts gas in the car, and keeps these videos coming. So I would say that's the whole gambit right there. We'd love to have you. And if you come on over, we're doing our next group ride. We do one a month. So we'll be doing that. And then we'll also be doing group rides, collaborating with YT soon down at the mill. So it's a great way to get access to some bikes you may not have ridden before. And a lot of good stuff coming up this year.
Yeah, you heard the YT crowd in the background. Woo! Yep. For sure. That place is opening up. Yeah. That's awesome. And guys, and everybody, senders, support Tony with that Patreon. I mean, $2 to $4 a month. He's one of the guys in the squad that is living the dream, right? He's not punching a clock. He's trying to make it work on the YouTube thing, and it'd be great to see you succeed in that realm, which is awesome. I love it. I have to live vicariously through you, and I love every time I see your videos. Scouts Out, for you, how do we follow you? And congratulations on your 1,000 subscribers.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I'm just Scouts Out, obviously, on YouTube. And then I have an Instagram that's Scouts Out YT. And that's pretty much all I roll right now. So, yeah.
Love it. Let's see if we have any more here. I just realized I'll be on in a couple weeks. MTB Rad Dad says. good realization.
A little plug there.
Yeah, there we go. MTB Rad Dad. All right. Well, hey, thank you guys again so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you guys. It's been fun talking to you guys. Where are you guys riding tomorrow?
Tomorrow's I ride home. I go home tomorrow, but he's gonna stick around. Actually, I'm not sure. I might extend it. We'll see. But he's riding tomorrow. Where are you riding tomorrow?
I don't know yet. I haven't Wherever yet, so we'll see. I might do that.
I'm pretty beat up anyway. I did a lot of riding this week in the last 3 days. My legs could use a day off. So I'm excited about the stuff that we did this week.
That's cool. In the footage that you guys have grabbed from the Santa Cruz trip, when would we maybe see that on YouTube?
My video I'm editing this week, so it'll be up Monday, the first video.
Monday coming out. And if you are on Patreon, you might get it a little bit sooner.
Weekend. Yeah.
So you'll be
Saturday
to be able to get it on Saturday or Sunday. But yeah, it'll be there. So guys, check them out. Thank you again, Tony. You are awesome. Great to see you, Scouts Out. Great to see you too. Look forward to riding with you in the near future. And thanks everyone for being on the show tonight. Really always appreciate all you for being on, and we'll see you all on the next episode.
Thanks,
See
Mark.
you guys.
Mark.